Alex Mercer crouched behind the jagged rocks, heart hammering against his ribs. The desert sun scorched his back, but he barely noticed. Something massive moved across the dunes, a shadow that didn't belong to any creature he knew. His communicator had been dead for hours, alone, trapped, and somehow, incredibly, he felt excited. The first time he saw her, he didn't even recognize it as an alien. She stepped from the shimmering heat haze like a goddess carved from silver. Her armor glinted in the sun, intricate and flawless. A crown perched on her platinum hair, catching the light like it was woven from starlight itself. Her eyes, pale, icy, and unreadable, locked on him. He froze. Then she spoke, and Alex almost laughed despite the fear crawling up his spine. "Human, are you single?" The words were casual, almost flippant, but the tone carried authority, curiosity, and something deeper he couldn't identify. He swallowed, mouth dry, trying to form an answer. Did she even understand what he was? Did she care? "You what?" he finally managed. "Are you unattached?" she asked again, stepping closer. The ground seemed to hum beneath her boots, a vibration that rattled through Alex's bones. Her soldiers remained behind, perfectly still, but their eyes, sharp, calculating, never left him. Alex's brain scrambled for logic. This was impossible. Alien queen. Yes. Desert. Check. Threatening. Probably. Asking about his relationship status. Absolutely not something anyone on Earth had ever done to him. Yet there was a strange warmth in the question, like a challenge wrapped in curiosity. I guess I'm single," he stammered. The words felt absurd on his tongue. He had been trained for hostile encounters, for life-and-death situations, but none of his drills had prepared him for flirtation under a sun-baked sky with someone who could obliterate him with a thought. Her lips curved ever so slightly. Was it a smile? And the air seemed to shift. Suddenly, the desert didn't feel empty. The wind carried a strange perfume, metallic and floral at once, like nothing he had smelled before. And in that moment, Alex realized that his life had just tilted on an axis he didn't even know existed. Then, without warning, she reached out a hand, long, armored, elegant, and the ground beneath them cracked. Something huge was moving underground, something alive. Alex had to decide: fight, flee, or trust the queen who just asked if he was single. He chose to follow her. And that was when the desert exploded. The ground shuddered beneath Alex's boots as the queen moved effortlessly ahead, her silver armor shimmering like liquid metal. Sand erupted in jagged clouds, revealing the creature beneath, massive, segmented, and unlike anything in human biology. Its mandibles clicked, eyes glowing like molten gold. Soldiers behind her raised weapons, but she held up a hand. The alien halted, tilting its enormous head toward her, almost listening. Alex staggered, gripping his rifle tighter than he had in years. It obeys you," he whispered, disbelief lacing his voice. She glanced at him over her shoulder, expression unreadable but with a flicker of amusement. "It does, but only because I allow it. Do you understand, human? Power without control is chaos." Before he could respond, the creature lunged. The queen moved with unnatural speed, weaving between the blows with grace that made Alex's head spin. A strike from the creature's claw tore a trench through the sand, and he barely dodged. He realized something terrifying. She wasn't just a leader. She was unstoppable. And yet there was a strange rhythm to her movements, a pattern that whispered of strategy, patience, even elegance. Alex couldn't look away, even as adrenaline screamed for him to run. Something about the way she fought, precise, controlled, aware of every heartbeat in the desert, made his chest tighten. "Human," she said abruptly, voice cutting through the roar of battle, "you'll need to trust me if you want to survive this." Trust. The word struck him harder than the creature's claws. His life had been a string of careful plans, strict routines, and predictable danger. And here was a being from another world, asking him to surrender control, and something inside him twisted with excitement. He nodded, even though he had no idea what she wanted from him. And in that moment she extended her hand again, not to strike or defend, but to guide him. Hesitant, he placed his hand in hers. The warmth surprised him, almost human, yet alien. His pulse quickened, not just from fear, but from something unnameable. The creature roared, slamming the sand around them, and she leapt, landing on its back with a fluid motion that made Alex's stomach drop. With a sharp twist, she directed the beast away, forcing it to retreat toward the mountains. Alex dropped to his knees, coughing from dust and awe. How are you real?" he gasped. Her eyes softened ever so slightly. "I am very real, human, and you are already learning the cost of ignoring what the universe wants from you." Before he could ask what she meant, she turned, face serious again. "But first," she said, voice low, almost playful, "you need to answer me properly. Single, yes or no?" Alex blinked, still half crawling through sand. Somehow, despite the monster, despite the alien army behind her, he felt like the answer mattered more than his own survival. "I'm single," he said, voice steadier now, tinged with something like wonder. She nodded, a shadow of a smile brushing her lips, and Alex felt for the first time that the universe wasn't just terrifying, it was inviting. Then she turned abruptly. "Come, there's more you need to see before night falls." And without another word, she vanished into the shimmer ahead, leaving him scrambling to keep up. Alex stumbled after her, sand flying with every step, his lungs burning, but he couldn't stop staring. The queen moved as if the desert itself bent around her, every motion perfect, effortless, yet somehow intimate. He felt like a child following a storm, and a storm that somehow wanted him to survive. They reached a canyon carved from pink rock, the walls glowing faintly as if infused with energy. Soldiers stood at attention, silent as statues, but their eyes flicked to Alex like he had just wandered into the heart of a forbidden kingdom. The queen stopped at the canyon's edge and turned, gaze piercing him. "Welcome to Lumeria," she said. The name rolled off her tongue like music, alien yet oddly familiar. "Our people have waited for someone like you." Alex blinked. "Waited for me? Why?" His voice cracked. He had faced death before, but nothing prepared him for this mix of awe and fear. Her expression softened for a moment, but there was steel beneath the grace. "Because human," she said, stepping closer, "you are capable of things no one else in the galaxy is. Things essential." He wanted to ask what she meant, but before he could, a low hum filled the canyon. Light spilled from cracks in the rock, forming shapes that resembled wings, animals, and landscapes he had never seen. His stomach dropped. This was no ordinary planet. The air shimmered with something alive, something sentient. "You see," she continued, voice calm but commanding, "our world chooses its allies. It recognizes courage, curiosity, heart. You have all three, whether you know it or not." Alex swallowed hard, torn between disbelief and wonder. His life had been ordinary, small missions, tiny victories, human politics. And now he stood in a canyon alive with energy, with a queen whose mere question about his love life had upended everything he thought possible. Then unexpectedly she reached out, brushing a strand of his hair back from his forehead. Her fingers were cool, almost electric, and Alex felt a shiver run straight to his bones. "You do not need to understand everything now," she whispered, leaning close enough that he could see the faint iridescence in her eyes. "But you must trust me, and you must decide whether you will fight by my side." He wanted to pull back, but some magnetic force rooted him in place. His heart pounded, not just with fear, but with a strange, thrilling hope. Hope he hadn't felt since he was a boy staring at the stars. I don't even know what I'm fighting for," he admitted, voice low, almost embarrassed. She smiled then, a real smile, fleeting but enough to make him ache. "You're fighting for something greater than survival, something human, and perhaps something more." Before he could ask what she meant, a blinding pulse rippled through the canyon, and the ground shifted violently. Alex stumbled, gripping her arm, and realized the energy around them wasn't just beautiful, it was dangerous. and in that instant he understood. Nothing would ever be the same. The pulse rippled again and the canyon walls quivered like living skin. Alex stumbled backward, heart slamming against his ribs. The Queen's hand stayed on his arm, steady, grounding him even as the energy surged around them. "Focus," she said softly, voice cutting through the chaos. "You can feel it, can't you? The world, it's alive, and it's testing you." "Testing me?" he shouted over the roar of energy. "I'm just a human. I barely survived a desert ambush." Her gaze softened, almost tender, but the power in her presence was undeniable. "Exactly, and humans often surprise us. Step forward, Alex. Don't let fear chain you." Something deep inside him surged. He didn't understand why he obeyed, only that he had to. He stepped closer, toward the light that pulsed from the canyon floor. The energy wrapped around him, not harming him but resonating in a way that made his bones vibrate. His fears didn't vanish. They became sharper, rawer, but alongside them bloomed a strange exhilaration. "You're stronger than you think," she said, her voice brushing against his mind like wind. "And you're not alone, not while I'm here." Her words hit him harder than any weapon could. The desert, the alien army, the impossible questions, they all faded beneath the gravity of her presence. The Queen didn't just command respect, she commanded trust, and for reasons he couldn't explain, he gave it willingly. Suddenly the ground erupted. Crystalline spikes shot upward, jagged and fast, surrounding them. Alex froze, but she didn't flinch. She raised her arms and the spikes bent away as though the canyon itself obeyed her will. She glanced at him. "Now, human, show me your courage." Alex's fingers tightened around the hilt of his rifle. He didn't know what courage looked like in this alien world, but he knew one thing. He couldn't let her fight alone. With a trembling breath, he stepped into the field of spikes. Pain seared along his arms as energy arcs brushed him, but he pressed on, adrenaline pushing him beyond every limit he had known. He felt alive in a way he had never imagined, terrified, exhilarated, and connected, inexplicably, to this alien queen who had asked about his relationship like it was the most important question in the galaxy. She watched him with eyes that softened every time he faltered, and a strange pride shone there. "Yes," she murmured, almost to herself. "This human, he might be more than I imagined." Alex's vision blurred from the energy, but he focused on her crown, on her armor shimmering like moonlight. He realized he wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for her, for something beyond words, beyond reason. Then, without warning, a massive shadow descended from above, the air ripped open with a scream of wings. Alex froze, chest heaving. The Queen grabbed his hand. "Hold on, this is just the beginning." He gripped her hand, feeling an unspoken promise, and stepped forward into the unknown. The shadow loomed over them like a mountain in the sky. Alex's stomach twisted as he saw it, a colossal, winged creature with eyes that burned like molten sapphire. Its roar shook the canyon, and for a heartbeat, Alex thought he might collapse from sheer terror. The Queen's grip on his hand tightened. "Do not look at it as an enemy," she said, voice calm but commanding. "It tests loyalty, courage, and heart. Only together can you survive." Alex swallowed hard. Heart. He had trained to survive, to shoot, to think logically, but none of that mattered now. All that mattered was keeping her hand in his, trusting her completely. The creature circled, wings slicing through the canyon like blades. Its screech seemed to pierce his very soul. "You trust me?" she asked softly, almost tenderly, her icy eyes locking onto his. "Yes," he whispered, the word trembling but honest. "I trust you." Her lips curved into a fleeting smile. "Then step forward, human. Show it what humanity can do." Step forward. The words felt heavier than any battle command he had ever heard. Alex drew a deep breath and moved, placing himself between the Queen and the creature. He didn't know what to do, only that running would betray her and himself. The energy of the canyon seemed to respond, wrapping around him, filling him with a strength he didn't know he had. The creature dove. Its talons were inches from Alex when the queen moved, swift, elegant, unstoppable. She lifted her arms and a wave of energy flared from her armor, forcing the beast back. Alex stumbled but felt no fear. Not like before, not while she was beside him. "You are not alone," she shouted, her voice carrying across the canyon like a command from the stars themselves. "Together, we are unstoppable." And in that moment, Alex understood something profound. The universe didn't need him to be perfect. It only needed him to care, to fight with heart, to choose courage when it was hardest. He raised his hands instinctively, letting the canyon's energy flow through him. Shockwaves rippled outward and the creature faltered, wings trembling. Alex's pulse raced. Every fiber of him burned with life, human, raw, and unstoppable. The creature screeched one final time and retreated into the sky, leaving the canyon trembling in silence. Alex dropped to his knees, chest heaving, sweat stinging his eyes. The queen knelt beside him, brushing a strand of sweat-slicked hair from his forehead. "You did well," she said, voice soft, almost intimate. Few humans could have faced that and stood. He looked up at her, and for the first time fear and awe mingled with something new, something warm, electric, and undeniable. I didn't do it alone," he admitted. You made me do it." Her smile lingered, gentle and fleeting. "Perhaps," she said, leaning closer so that their foreheads almost touched, "or perhaps you surprised both of us." Alex felt his chest tighten. There was a depth to her, an intensity he couldn't name. And yet, in that moment, he realized he wanted to stay in it, all of it. Every danger, every mystery, every moment with her. Then she stood abruptly, voice sharp. "No time to dwell, the trials have only begun." Alex scrambled to follow, heart pounding not just from fear, but from the electric pull he couldn't deny. He knew, somehow, that whatever came next would change him forever. Night fell over the canyon like a velvet blanket, the stars above alien and blinding. Alex stumbled beside the queen, still breathless from the battle. The air was quieter now, almost sacred, yet charged with tension. Shadows moved across the glowing rocks, and he realized this world was alive in ways humans couldn't comprehend. She stopped suddenly, turning to him with an expression he couldn't read. "There's something you must know," she said, voice low. "Something that changes everything." Alex's stomach tightened. What is it?" She hesitated, a rare crack in her composure. "I am not only a queen, I am the guardian of our species' survival. Every decision I make, every choice, every life I risk rests on this responsibility." Her eyes softened, shimmering in the starlight. "And now your presence complicates everything." He frowned, confusion mixing with fear. "Complicates how?" "You," she said simply. "Human, your heart, your courage, your unpredictability. It interferes with what I must do. And yet it awakens something in me I have never felt." Alex's pulse raced. He wanted to speak, to protest, but words failed. Her gaze was magnetic, tender, and dangerous all at once. He felt naked under it, every insecurity, every fear laid bare. I don't understand," he whispered. "Are you saying I'm a problem?" "No," she said, stepping closer, her hand brushing his. Sparks of energy, or maybe emotion, flared between them. "You are the exception, and exceptions are rare, precious, but they are dangerous." Alex's chest ached. He had never felt so drawn to anyone or anything. Her words, her touch, her mere presence, it ignited something primal in him. Courage, yes. Wonder, yes. But now desire. Something he had never allowed himself. "I don't care if it's dangerous," he said, voice low, urgent. I want to be part of it, part of you." Her eyes widened, and for a moment, the armor and crown and queenly command melted into something fragile, human, and beautiful. "You would risk everything for me?" she asked, almost breathless. "I'd risk everything for you," he said firmly. A silence stretched between them, broken only by the whisper of the canyon and the hum of living energy. Then, without warning, she leaned closer, and for the first time their foreheads touched. Alex felt warmth surge from her, a heartbeat syncing with his own. But the moment was shattered by a distant roar echoing through the canyon. Shadows moved on the rocks, larger, faster, more coordinated than before. The queen stiffened, pulling back instantly. "No time," she said, voice hard. "You cannot falter again, Alex. Not now, not ever." He nodded, chest still burning from their connection. Fear and longing mixed in his veins. He realized something terrifying and exhilarating. He had already fallen, and there was no turning back. She extended her hand, eyes sharp with command and something else, something intimate. "Come, we face this together, or we perish apart." Alex grasped her hand, heart pounding. Whatever awaited them in the shadows, he would follow her. Always. And somewhere deep inside, he knew this night would change the universe for both of them. Forever. The shadows surged like a tidal wave. Creatures with glimmering exoskeletons and multiple limbs poured from the canyon walls, their eyes fixed on Alex and the queen. His breath caught, but he didn't falter. He felt her hand in his, steady, commanding, and impossibly warm. Together, they were a force neither human nor alien had ever witnessed. "Stay close," she ordered, eyes blazing. "Trust your instincts and trust me." Alex nodded. Instincts and trust, two things humans were often told were weaknesses, now felt like armor. The first creature lunged, massive claws snapping. The queen moved with lethal grace, energy rippling from her armor, throwing it off balance. Alex felt the energy around him respond to them, surging through his veins like electricity. He realized then, the universe had chosen him, and he was rising to the challenge. He raised his hands, letting the canyon's living energy flow through him. Shockwaves knocked several creatures aside. Together, he and the queen became a synchronized storm of power, courage, and raw heart. Fear still gnawed at the edges of his mind, but it had no dominion here, not while she was beside him. Then she turned to him, gaze softening in a way that stole his breath. "Alex, this is it. The final trial. If we succeed, your world and mine will change forever." He nodded, chest tight. He didn't care about the trials, the monsters, or even the impossible odds. All that mattered was her. All that mattered was them. With a shout, they surged forward together. The creatures recoiled against their combined force, energy and courage interweaving like a living tapestry. Alex realized something terrifyingly beautiful. He was no longer just human. He was something more, a being capable of defying the impossible because he dared to care, to fight, to trust. The last creature fell, wings shattering the starlight as it screamed into silence. The canyon stilled. Alex gasped, chest heaving, sweat and dust clinging to his skin. The queen knelt beside him, brushing sand from his shoulder with a tenderness that made his heart hammer. "You've done it," she whispered, voice low and intimate. You've exceeded even my expectations." Alex swallowed hard, words catching in his throat. "I didn't do it alone. I had you." Her icy gaze softened, shimmering like starlight. "And I had you." She leaned closer, eyes flicking between his, lips barely brushing his. "Perhaps this was always meant to happen." He closed the distance, hearts beating in sync, the canyon alive around them. In that moment, nothing else existed. Not monsters, not trials, not galaxies apart. Only them together. A soft laugh escaped her lips, delicate and rare. "Human," she murmured, her forehead resting against his, "you are reckless, and yet perfect." "I'll take perfect over safe any day," he said, smiling despite exhaustion. The stars above seemed to pulse with their triumph, the canyon glowing with life. And Alex knew, finally, that humanity, his courage, heart, and unpredictability, was not just enough. It was extraordinary. Together, hand in hand, they stepped into the desert night, ready to face whatever the universe dared to throw next, because now they faced it as one. And for the first time, Alex felt truly home.